It begins. Okay, so hi everyone,
Hello.
Jonathan. So welcome this evening to the Human Library. This evening we have Marie-Ève Benoit. She's director of Action Saint-François, but is also a former student at the Cégep de Sherbrooke, right? And I'll read a quick presentation. This is what was on the website. And you see in this talk, Marie-Ève invites us to reflect on our relationship with both society and nature by posing simple yet essential questions. How do we feel when immersed in a forest versus when surrounded by the pace of modern life? Which of our daily habits harm the environment? And where do we remain indifferent to the consequences of our actions? So together we examine whether we are part of the problem and how we can become part of the solution. So without further ado, Marie-Ève Benoit.
Thank you very much for proposing me to be here today at the Human Library. It's a pleasure. And I want to ask first to Jonathan. Jonathan, Ryan mentioned in the question, how do you feel when you're surrounded by nature compared to when you walk in the city? Just like that, you want to start by
Yeah,
sharing that with me?
I think I feel at peace, and I also feel like I'm healthier. Like I breathe the air, and I feel like it gives me more health, you know. So I really like to go into the nature and just walk. I have a dog, so we take long walks, and it helps me to reconnect with the nature, reconnect with myself. So I think it's a great.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think that's where it starts. And that's how we see how people are connected. If they can feel a big difference when they go in the forest compared to when they walk in the city. Um, I wanted to start with the person that was here with us, see how they feel about this. Um, how I would like to go is talk about me a little bit, because I want to get to the point of how I got to have difficult choices to make in becoming an environmentalist. And it started when I was really young, actually. I'm 43 years old. And I think I can remember that it started when I was 14 years old. Uh, I remember meeting a naturologist person who was making me herbal tea and a clay mask when my back was hurting. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Nobody told me I could help myself with some dirt in my back, and everything was working. And that's when I started to be interested into natural things. So in things that were coming directly from nature, while I was going through a big phase in society as a teenager. So how did it start? Well, I met a natural healer. And then I can remember at 16 years old, well, first I want to go back to say that I was raised and born on Wellington Street in Sherbrooke by the river. And also I was raised also on Montreal Street close to the river. So I was lived by the river. And when I turned 16 years old, I was hanging out by the river all the time. That's where I could find the sources of my source of inspiration, because going to school, I started not liking it. I started skipping it. People could make fun of me, and I did not agree in class about everything they were teaching me. And the things they were not teaching me were by the river. And that's what I wanted to start seeing and hear about. And like you said, that's where I felt really good. I was so anxious going to school. I was so anxious going just walking in the city. I can recall those things like it's yesterday. And so I started also reading about environmental stuff, uh, and pollution, watching documentary about nature and pollution, and had a big interest into natural medicine because I had met that lady that I still knew, and she was my neighbor behind my house of my parents. So I would go see her all the time and spend time with her. And that's where I found myself, surrounded by Mother Nature and natural things. And that's where I find like I didn't have a place in society, and I was getting clearer and clearer. And at 17 years old, well, guess what? I quit school because I couldn't even hear what the teacher was saying in class. I was not there anymore. I was thinking about the river. I was thinking about going home and opening my other books. And the director threw me out of school because I started playing flute, and I just didn't care anymore about the education that they were giving me. I was a dreamer when you're a teenager. How old are you, Jonathan?
19.
Oh, 19. Cool.
Yeah.
So I was a dreamer and I was an artist too. So it was worse probably for me because I had a very creative mind, and everything they teach me was so boring. So I'd rather create my own way. And so at 17, I quit school and I started doing cleaning activities. I don't know if you read that I work for Action Saint-François. And it's an organization that does cleaning activities, tree planting, and awareness about environment. So I met Action Saint-François when I was 17 years old. I did some cleaning activities with them, and that really changed my ways to see all the pollution and the rubbish that we could throw in nature. I was already really sensitive to the pollution, and I've read all these books and seen all these documentaries. So I could really see I started seeing how we disrupt the environment right there in society with all the stuff that we can create and the stuff that we buy. And so I was becoming aware of what I'm buying in my life and what the humankind is doing every day. That was hurting me a lot. I became very sensitive. And so I started traveling. There was no more going back to school for sure, and working was hard too. Like I was working in a canteen with French fries, or there was nothing that was really appealing to me because my mind was towards nature. So I was never at my place. I felt out of place. And I had just more and more interest into everything that surrounded pollution and environment. And I put myself in the street because I felt like the load was lighter when you were in the street because you don't have to have an apartment or have a job and buy all these things like everybody. So I just had a backpack and I could sleep by the river during summertime and make a fire and lay down on a tree. So it was voluntary, even though my father had money and he was really scared for me. And I would just want to do it. And I would eat in the garbage, eat in the popular soups like the chaudronné in Sherbrooke that we know. And sorry. So I did all that, and I was, I've never been in that time, I've never felt so free doing that because I was doing what I want. And as long as I had food and nature and a roof sometimes at my friends for sure, I was happy like that. I was very marginal, of course. Um, I was an artist, so I started traveling. I went to BC and Gaspésie, and yeah, I was still working sometimes, but I was most of the time sleeping in the forest and washing in the river. And I started living with communities that were doing that move, away from the rules of society and natural as much as possible and local food. And so I presume people are aware today of that movement. It started in the 60s and it's still going on very strong. Um, and I kept reading about pollutions. I was interested into learning and education, but the things that were towards awareness of protecting the nature. I was reading about chemical in foods, medications with pills because I was scared of pollution at one point. And so all that made me very different from my family. and fitting in society. You got to have a job, you got to have a car. I didn't have a car until I was 21 years old. Brian, I know you ride your bike every day. You don't have a car. You have a car, Jonathan?
I do, but it's broken.
Oh, good,
I
good,
have to
not
fix
good.
it.
So, yeah, and so I was still feeling off when I was in nature, but I would come back to society, because we're kind of, I feel like we're kind of stuck being in that circle of society. Like we have to work, have money, pay for our food, our roof, and then children. But I didn't have children yet, for sure. And so I was kind of on and off of being an environmentalist. I would settle at one point and have an apartment and start having material and feel really bad about it. And I would sell everything the next year and start traveling again with a backpack. So I was trying to fit, and then I would give up because my heart and my brain was like, no, it's wrong. I'm getting all this stuff again. And so those were my difficult choices into becoming an environmentalist. I was teared apart in being part of the society, like everybody, go buy your little things, have your little routines, and be free like a bird or a wild animal and just live with the simple things that are around you, the river, the trees. And so, and in the meantime, I had a conflict with my family. My father is the first person that made me look a completely different way. We were eating a bunch of crap food when we were young and just the worst. And my dad didn't believe in environment. He would let the water run and say, we have it forever. And, you know, we would, and when at 17, I started arguing. I was like, no, no, we might have this resource here, but it's not forever. And then since I read about so many things in the water that we can find because of pollution, my dad was not aware, but me, I was aware more, and we always had conflict in what was on the table. And so that was one of the reasons why I left home, because I didn't agree with pretty much everything that my father taught me, except for respect and not stealing. And those were good things. So that's it. I was on and off in having to follow society and follow my heart as a wanting to become an environmentalist and everything that I've learned. And that was really hard for me. And it's actually still hard because I still go through the same things as when I was 17. I got a home now, I got stuff, but you know what? I just want to leave with my backpack and sleep in the forest and just drink the water there and live off of it. But I can't. And I find that really difficult. And today I have kids, and sometimes my kid wants some crap stuff, and they don't like me if I don't buy it. So I got periods where, like, oh, you happy? I got you this. And then lately I'm much more stronger, like, nope, that's what we have. You don't have that juice you like at the store. It's not good. And my kids are growing up, and I got two kids. My bigger kid starting to understand the pollution situation, the choices that I make. So that makes it lighter for me in life. My smaller kids, I'm already telling him and showing him what's good and what's not good, and he's following me quicker than my other kid. Um, so yeah, so what's still heartbreaking is that I still have to make money, but I have to make it trying not to destroy the planet. And that's why I'm really happy to work for Action Saint-François, which is an environmental organization, because I have a job, but I'm protecting the planet. So I'm more happy than when I was young, that's for sure.
Better
Um,
than making French fries, right?
Better than making French fries, but
Yeah.
just not long ago, I had to go back to that kind of job because that's also the problem. Sometimes in environment, you can be poor, or you can work for a nonprofit organization and they can't help it. They can't pay you much. And this is my situation today, but I do it by values. I'm really happy about it. And I think if I would have another job that I would be destroying the planet, or somehow I don't contribute into protecting it, but I'm paid more, I would be so sad. I would hate it. I would hate myself. So I do it for the values and I do it for the money. That's for sure. And so, yeah, that big conflict that keeps going on in society, it's that there's industrial growth and environmental preservation. I think that through the years, everybody on the planet, I can say globally, I've tried to become to what do you call it? Conciliation in English? Conciliation? Can you say a conciliation, economy and environment?
Like meeting halfway and
Yes, a
trying to
conciliation, but I'm not sure if
mend
it's the
things. Yeah.
word. In French, it's conciliation, économie,
Conciliation. Yeah.
environnement. For an example, in Sherbrooke, they try to preserve the environment, but continue to have the wheel of economy turn. But there's a conciliation that's much stronger. We can feel it today. So that's a better feeling than when I was 17, or if you compare to the 60s, where it was a disaster, nobody believed in pollution, and the scientists, they had proof it was there, but they didn't want to say it because well, I'm just gonna say big words. The people of the economy would want to shut that down because they started losing money, and so people are much more open today about preserving the environment. So that's a plus for sure. And I'm a person that's always been really, really sensitive to that. It's a deep feeling to feel like the environment is being destroyed just by, for example, you hang out in a place, you love it, you put your hammock there, there's pears growing, there's a beautiful view, and you got these animals that that come back all the time, and they're starting to know you, and you go back one day and there's nothing. They cut everything. They started to put cement. They built, and I don't remember what's that word there. It's end up with algae, not algae, but it's a feeling where the nature has been destroyed, and you kind of got a nostalgia of it. So I've seen that many times, hanging on beautiful place, and they disappear one day when you come back to it. So uh, that's really hard. And one thing is hard to in becoming an environmentalist is sometimes people rejects you. They think you're too much, that it doesn't make sense. I remember when I was 16 and 17, or even up to 30 years old, would go to my friends' parties and we would chat, and everybody would talk about stupid things, but nobody ever talks about the earth, the environment, the pollution. And I became really disturbed going to these parties. And I remember being upset and telling everybody, so stupid, you never talk about the earth. I don't want to be here. And so that was not easy, dumping my friends because they don't understand me, or what they talk about don't make sense and it's not productive regarding protecting the environment. So this is it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the solution is in taking small action by yourself, or it is by manifesting in the street and try to change how the government approach the environment?
I think
Or is
that
it both?
what both thing you said is part of the solution for sure. Since it started into what we teach us or what we should eat, and so we individually have to open our minds to asking ourselves question: is this really good? What that society or family is offering me? So first you open your mind to things, you ask yourself question, and you start acting as an individual by what you consume in life and society, everything you buy, it starts with you. And all together we become collectively this action if we all decide we're not buying a product because it's really bad in the way it's made and for our health, then we're changing that. So the collective choices are made because of individual altogether. We decided we want or we don't want something that's good or not good.
Mhm.
So that's really part of the solution. And for sure, showing the example and putting some pressure on those rules that makes it bad or makes it so it's destroying the earth. It's a big part of the action that we should do, and it's probably what should happen, because in society there's this structure that leads us to do a certain way. Sometimes just regarding the cost of life, everything is so expensive. It's hard to make choices that are eco-responsible. That's one fact. The other fact is we live in a life where there's so many things asked from us, just like go on all these platforms and fill up these papers for your car and these insurance and these, there's so many things, and we're stuck in it. So that's the structure of society. And it's not necessarily good. You know, you were saying in the beginning, walk in the forest, you feel good. You feel like you're being healing. You're healing. And you go back in society or in the street and to all these things you have to do. And right here, it's overheating. Or just going to exams, that's cool.
Yeah.
Me, I would puke when I went back to Cégep. I went back to school. I was sick.
And
So
that's one question I have for you, Marie-Ève, is that you've returned to Cégep at some point to do your studies in bioecology.
yeah,
And how was your experience with that? Because you're being an environmentalist, and because I've tried that, I started a master's in environmental studies at the university, and I realized that it's not because you're doing studies in environmental studies that most people are environmentalists. It's mostly because at some point in I mean, I think you're going to agree with me. Yes, the environment is something that's important. The governments are paying more attention because, I mean, the signs are clear and the science is there. The impacts of our activities and our consumption are extreme, and things are changing on the planet. And it's kind of like it's discouraging. But still, I mean, most people who go into those studies are going to be hired by companies, and they're going to practice what we call greenwashing, which is basically trying to convince people that they're being environmentally friendly and trying to kind of convince people that by destroying this forest, we're being environmentally friendly, because we're going to preserve, for example, the marsh that's there or
yeah.
something.
Well, I would never go if I ever find myself working for a company or an, anything government that starts lying. I don't have my tongue in my pocket. I would never do that. I would spill the truth and maybe I would get killed. I'm sure. That's why I never
Yeah.
find me there, you know?
Mhm.
Because it's quite possible when you're super well paid that you get into some weird stuff. And anyways, I don't really want to get there because I'm not also sure what I'm talking about. But you were saying like some people go back and study and they might not really have the heart and values to it to the point where they can get poor just to protect the environment. That's where we can get.
Yeah.
And but just going back to the fact that I went back to school, so I plunged myself back in society because it took me a while. I went back to school at 28 years old. And before going to school, like big school, like the Cégep, I wanted to be a apothecary, a natural healer. So I studied natural medicine with plants and soap. And I started having a project of building my own home, which I'm about to realize. Took a while. No money, no candy. And so going back to school made me feel horrible, even though I was studying the environment, just being on computers with all these people studying things that for me were useless. That was not a good feeling. Sometimes I was sick before going to school. Just knowing that I was back in that, well, I was anxious for sure. Didn't go well for me, but I went through it and I had good notes, probably because I was in an environment. And so I was hoping when I get out of there that I would really do something for the environment. And the reason why I went back to school, I told myself, because I was doing the herbology, and when I was writing my text, I thought I sucked. So I went back to finish my high school. And I was like, wow, I'm good, because all this time I kept reading and learning stuff. And I was like, all right, maybe I can go in a branch at Cégep that I can do something and educate myself and pierce into the system and open my bag. That's how I saw my comeback in study. So, and that's exactly what I did. I got out of there and I was like, okay, what do I do? I mean, there's all these jobs, and I saw my friends from my classmate going in to work for, like you said, Brian, the environment, and I'm not sure if they really bring something into protecting the earth. I saw that too. And so I was just hoping that something would come to me, something that I could protect the nature. And I always wanted to work with water and forest or just environment. And then I met again with Action Saint-François. I went and I didn't know it still existed. So I reconnected with the organization, did like one cleaning and an interview right there in the river, and I was hired. I was like, all right, back to what uh, led me to loving and protecting the environment at the first place, the cleaning activities. And now I'm the director of the organization, and it's like a dream come true. It's not easy every day because it's a nonprofit organization. So, like I said, like you got a low salary, but I'm happy because it's in my values and it's just a parallel with my real life. And I can bring material to my project.
But I have a question. Well, can you tell us more about the activities of Action Saint-François? And that's my first question. Maybe if people are watching this and they haven't heard about that organization and might be interested in participating.
Yeah.
And also the other question is, and you talk about this, it's a nonprofit organization, and you mentioned it when you said that, you still had to get another job, to make ends meet.
Oh, yeah.
And how it's difficult for an organization like that that's it's crucial to our society. I mean, what you guys are doing, sorry, it's what you're going to be saying there, but you're basically cleaning up our crap. Everyone's throwing out their stuff, or
Yeah.
you find so much trash by the river. And I mean, if Action Saint-François weren't there, I mean, that trash would just stay there, and I mean, it would accumulate. And
Yeah.
you're still having trouble finding funding and, being able to function.
Yes, because we're kind of independent. We have members and some partnerships with enterprise to have money to do the activities. We're close to the city too, so we got contracts. We got private contracts too. So it's not always easy. Right now, I'm alone at the organization as a director because we're waiting for the summer programs to have a subvention money to hire people. So I work hard And yeah, if the organization would be there in 2025, it's 43,000 pounds of rubbish that would probably stay
Incredible.
in the environment and by the river. Last year was a little crazy because that's probably me. I organized 47 activities. That doesn't count the ones that were canceled. So that's why we got so much trash out of the environment. And the water level was really low. And we were able to walk in the middle of the waterbed sometimes to pick up trash that we couldn't reach before. So we picked up more stuff this year for this reason. We also had a lot of participant, 1,115 participant. Pretty much everything doubled from the year previous.
Except for the funding.
Except for the funding. That's right. That's the issue. I gotta work on that. But we did what is levée de fonds in English? Fundraising.
Fundraiser, yeah.
And last year we got 1,900, and this year, the year before, 2024, we got 1,900, and in 2025 we got $7,000. So there's a lot of effort to put into trying to get people to do things, and that's where I gave myself 300%, I think, in 2025, but I'll just come back to 100 for 2026. And have some
You're all
more
alone.
fun.
I mean, you're organizing all the those pickups and cleaning
The
activities.
cleanups.
Yeah,
Well,
the
last year
cleanups.
I had some help with the Action Saint-François, the program of the government. So I had 3 employees that were helping me, but I had to teach them how to do it. And I had one employee that we kept with us. I want to name her Obessin because she was a really good partner. She helped for financial and renewing the organization because I'm only the director since 2024. And I walked into a dusty organization because lack of funding, can't follow up everything all the time. So that's it. So, but this is possible because of the volunteers, the people that have the heart to protect the environment, the people that consider it and that want to make a change. That's why we were able to pick up so much trash, and that's why we're still surviving. I think even though we're not rich, we still have people helping us, having similar values and wanted to support the organization. So the activities, they happen mostly on Saturdays, starting in April. The 18th of April, it's going to start. And as soon as the snow melt, I start looking for rubbish everywhere. You see them everywhere. Don't you guys see them everywhere right now? I know
Yeah.
next time you're gonna go on the street, you're gonna see them because I talked about it.
And you think at 45,000 pounds of rubbish that you pick up, and then you think, okay, well, that's it. There's none left. It just comes
Oh
back.
no, it's
It comes
renewing
back.
every year. We go back to the same place, especially by the river. When everything melts and then the level of water goes up and then it goes back down, it leaves all these rubbish on the shore. And we have to go back to the same places by the river every year. There's still a lot of garbage. The difference is when the water went super low last year, then we were able to get stuff that we haven't seen in, I don't know, 30 years,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to happen again. We don't want it
Hope
because
not.
it hurts the ecosystem, but
Right.
we're able to go in the middle of the river.
Mhm.
And I switched computer, but I had pictures of me this summer in the middle of the river, try to pick up something. I was getting deeper though. I had water over my waist with waiter's pants in the water, and I had to walk sideways because the current, that was one of my most exciting cleaning activity. It's fun. We find treasures, ugly stuff, old stuff from back in time, especially when we go to Magog at the Marie de la Rivière aux Cerises. This is a dump place where they buried stuff and they burn it and they squish it. And we find old bottles from the 40s. I found a watch, a pocket watch. It looks like a Western watch, and I keep a lot of treasures too because my dad is an antique seller, and I
Oh,
always love the old stuff. So those activities are really fun in the river as well because we find really weird stuff. One time I found a wheel, a wheel that goes on the, c'est quoi une calèche?
a wagon, I guess.
A wagon that's pulled by horses. So I put the wheel there on the side. I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I find it. I go back in the river, somebody passed behind me and pick it up, and I couldn't find my wheel. I was like, no, I
Uh,
just found an antique that's probably worth $300. So there's some treasures in there sometimes, in the river and in those wild dumps, because we know back then that was the solution. Like, where do we put our trash in the nature? And it was like one place where everybody would dump the stuff, and that was a big problem. And that's what the organization's been doing too, like trying to empty those old dumps. There was many by the river. There was somewhere the whole city, the whole people of a city would go put it there, like at the Marais de la Rivière aux Cerises in Magog. And so it's disgusting, it's garbage, but somehow with the people that are there, we have the heart to it. We make fun, we have fun, we make connections, we find things and we laugh about it. We find just about everything that human can make and can buy. So
what's the weirdest thing or the most surprising or scary thing that you've found?
the
Have you ever
coolest was the
found?
wheel. Uh, Weird things is we find old dolls, like we feel like we're in a horror movie. That dangerous things we find is needles. Is that sirens? We're scared when we
Syringes,
find
yeah.
that by the river. There's spots where we can find that. Unfortunately, there's people using them and leaving them right there. That's scary to me. Um, those kind of things. I always love going to dumps that are really old because I have a whole collection of bottles, the blue ones. Those are the ones that they stopped making because it was toxic, but they're so pretty. And you can tell back then they were putting a lot of love in what they were making compared of today. It's made in industrial and it's cheap. So it makes you go back in time and having these kind of thoughts, and it brings you somewhere else. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Maybe I have a question here. You were saying that back then they used to throw trash away just in the streets, but as of today we have the all of the recycling and all of the containers to put the trash away. So I
Yeah.
was wondering, there's some people that say recycling, we think it's like magic, like we put it in the recycle bin and then it just goes away. But does it really get all transformed and backed into the system, or does it work like that?
Well, thankfully today we have a better system to separate our rubbish, and some are being reused. So like the compost, the food,
Yeah.
the recycle bin, and then there's still too much garbage for sure. The
Mm.
problem is we want to recycle, but not everything. It changed lately. There's more stuff that's recyclable, but one of the problem is they don't accept it when it's dirty. They're gonna throw it away. And it makes everything else around dirty, so they throw away some of the stuff that was probably good. And the other problem is like let's say here in Sherbrooke or in Estrie, we don't have enough business recycling one type of plastic because you can't mix them all to make something out of it like that. You have those numbers on the recycling object, the recycling sign with the numbers. Some numbers are non-recyclable at all, like I think 1, 7. I'm not sure what changed today. I have to check that out.
If
Some
it
are
can't be recycled,
recyclable,
that
but
shouldn't be made.
yeah, but the problem is we still allow some products in the country or the producers to wrap their product with the cheapest plastic, for instance, because it's cheaper, and then the product becomes cheaper, and that's one of the problem. And we don't know what to make out of it, even though we throw it in a recycle.
Mm.
Well, maybe it's all going back across the world to be transferred because it's only, I'm just giving an example, doesn't mean it's only China that takes the number one or nobody. And so the problem is we allow products that are wrapped with like plastic mostly. It's the plastic, the problem, on the styrofoam. So we can't do nothing with it. If only, and I think we're looking more into that lately. Enterprise are trying to start a way, un débouché, là, I don't know what it is in French, des débouchés,
Venture or
to create something that we could use all the number, let's say 1 or 7, and we can make a product like with it, some carpets, you know. So that's how we need to create today. I think we need, if we want to create a product, it's not to take the same petroleum, the create a plastic with it. Oh, this is beautiful because what we put on it, but mostly look into the product, how it's made and with what it's wrapped, if it's recyclable and if it's been recycled.
Mm.
So if you want to start an enterprise and say, okay, we're going to do it in a circular economy. So we're going to reuse the recycle that you threw in your bin, and we're going to make sure it's the number that we don't know what to do with it. That would be really wise. That's what we need to do. And the thing is, it's kind of hard. It probably takes money, and hopefully the government gonna make subvention and program for it, so people start a business and start recycling, and so the money stays in the country and the product too. So we're reusing it all the time. I don't know what product it could be, you know, to a wrapping
Yeah.
paper that's, we can all reuse that one, and we're gonna make a bunch of it, so everything that's on the shelf, that the wrapping is going back to that company and they're reusing it, and it stays in the country, and it's this circular economy, and it doesn't pollute. We recycle it, or it disintegrates in nature. You know, we want ecological product.
I mean,
So
the best objective is just basically not to have any trash, not generate anything, even if it's recyclable, because
it's really hard.
it's awful. I see that, you know, sometimes I just notice you see the garbage truck and then the recycling truck and then the compost truck that pass every 2, 3 weeks or every week. And then, you know, you just look at the trucks pass on your street, and then you imagine, well, imagine each and every street in the city, and then you start imagining each city, all the cities in the province, all the cities in the country, all the cities in the
Yeah.
world. And that's what we generate like each and every week. And it's
The thing is, like,
discouraging.
oh yeah, I recycle. I'm not proud. My recycle is fuller than my garbage. Yay. But you know what? Oh my gosh, I use all these products. I got all these bottles. I
Yeah.
got to make less. I really
Mhm.
have to make less. How do I do
Mhm.
that? Well, I'm going to buy a big bag of flour, a big bag of apple. I'm going to make my muffins. And then it
Mhm.
takes forever, and you don't have any time for yourself or to go to work. So, screw that. You know what I was talking about? On and off. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I got a pace of life that's really fast. I don't have time. I'm gonna buy stuff that's already made and I can cook it right away. And I got here goes a wrapping, here goes another wrapping, and here goes a whoops on the wrong. I forgot my lunch. I'm gonna go to the store because I'm starving. I can't work. So it's really hard. I was also talking earlier, like in society, the structure. We have to all these things to do, and it makes you so busy. Can't make my muffins. And I find it terrible because when I go buy muffins, because I don't have much money, they don't taste good. Unless I buy some organic ones, and you know, but it's expensive, and then that's where it becomes hard. You have kids, you don't have time. So the structure is part of the problem. Yes, we have to make choices, but sometimes it's a vicious circle. We're stuck in it. And we're on enough.
Yeah. I think the best way to become an environmentalist, where you at least live by your values,
As much
is
possible.
is to have time, you know, and to make
Yeah,
yourself some time. Because
yeah.
when you have time, when
You
people
make
are
all
too
their
busy, you
products.
said it, people are too busy, they consume it because they don't have time to make food, they don't have time to do this. They need a car because they have to get there faster. And
All
that's,
these appointments, and I got all these things going
yeah.
on, and
And then
it
you
drives you
have your
crazy.
kids do this and kids do that, go to this lesson, go to that class. And then it's just like it's a vicious circle. It's a treadmill of life. And
Uh,
people think that that's the norm, you know, that's how it has to be. And
Yeah, and Jonathan, you're young. Maybe you're not going through that yet. You live at your parents'?
Yeah, but
Yes, and it's
uh,
easy. Imagine when you're on your own and you start doing
yeah,
all that, then you're
I
gonna
don't want
feel
to
the
speak for
complications.
other young
What?
people, but I feel like for us, it's not much that we don't have the time. It's more like we feel like we don't have the power to change the things. You know, it feels like we're alone in this, that everybody does the same thing, everybody
Yeah,
uh buys, consumes. So it just feels like we're helpless in all of this. And at the same time, there's so much going on. There's so many other troubles with wars and everything.
yeah,
It's hard to pick our battles, you know. Sometimes I just feel like I gotta focus more on people than on just trash, even though trash affects people too. So it's
yeah.
hard to pick and choose through all of that and still, you know, perform at school, be there for your girlfriend or whatever, you know. So
The
yeah, it's a
the
fast moving life.
ecology thing is that it's a long-term thing. So when you say you feel like you got to take care of the people right now, but being an environmentalist is taking care of people in long term of
Yeah.
yourself and of the next generation. It, well, that's what I think. And when my kids came in this world, I was like, whew, that's gonna be hard for them. I'm
Yeah.
going through that. Me, if they are aware of that and they live, if it becomes a hell and it gets worse, and the worst is that the living things are being sick. We don't have any more resources because we took them all. So it's it's not easy to think now for later and to feel a satisfaction with it because we're surrounded by superficial things. It's much more fun than spending 10 minutes at the grocery reading stuff and checking who's got less wrapping, and everybody thinks we're stupid. That's what I was saying earlier. People like, what are you doing? Like, who cares, I went through that so many times.
mm,
Glad today I'm surrounded by people that think like me a little bit more, but it was hard to be like that amongst people that don't care. And so that's the difficult choice. Those are the difficult choices. But you can do that through every day a
Yeah.
little bit of awareness. Like, all right, today I bring my reusable bottle. And then for example, maybe you guys today the teenagers are doing it much more, but I still know a bunch of people that don't. You start with those kind of things. What's healthy, what's not healthy. Try to not buy too many wrappings, buy bulk food and make your own food. It's also having time for yourself. Not easy when you're busy. So it's not easy, but I think a little bit at a time, as much as you can. And if you really want to do it, then you put yourself in a lifestyle that will not disappoint you and that will support you into doing it. For instance, if like I used to go out with somebody who really didn't care about that. So recycle coffee at Tim Horton every day. I was like that when we'd stop by, no, what am I doing here? Why? This is
mm.
stupid. And then he is, you want a coffee? No, I got you a coffee. I would swear, I was disappointed, but the coffee was good. And then that was my on and off. I don't go to Tim Horton anymore with anybody. So,
And I think, that's kind of like one thing that I wanted to mention with you, Marie-Ève, is that in Jonathan, I don't know, where your values are, but it's very important to be surrounded by people who share values that are the same as yours. And at the
You
same
want
time,
it.
not too much there. I mean, you don't want to create like what they call the echo chamber, but for sure, when you have values that are non-commercial and that are, grounded with the earth, it's
It's a
often you,
choice.
yeah, it's a choice, and you feel kind of isolated. What you talked about earlier, Marie-Ève, it really touched me. I felt like crying at some point because it's true. We're isolated
I
because
thought I was gonna cry talking about it today.
well, yes, but no, but that's the thing, and it's kind of sad because especially with all the information, and I mean, it's not even a matter of you see things. I mean, it's backed by scientific proof, and people are still, denying it, and it's difficult. And at some point, you go to parties, you meet people, and it's my case. I used to talk a lot about it, and people were like, let's not talk to Brian because he's going to start talking about the environment. But nowadays, I don't even talk about it. I mean, actually, I started avoiding seeing people because I just can't stand people anymore.
You choose your people, and
Yeah,
you go out with people that talk about environment with you, and then
yeah,
that's where you start feeling like you belong.
hmm
And it took me a while to do that because I grew up with some people. I have my family, so
yeah,
but I still see my family, but unfortunately for them, I'm not gonna start talking about the, I don't want to name any stars in the world, but I just go like, I'm sorry, that doesn't interest me, and it's just gonna stop there.
mm,
And uh I got more confident into what I want and what it brings me, but I see beyond just seeing things. I can feel it inside of me because that's what values are. That's why you follow them.
hmm
And know these things also makes you uh, leads the way into your choices.
I think it's hard for kids now to, to find their way with everything that's going on, and I mean, a movement or whatever, Jonathan was talking about protests or whatever, and it's kind of
Yeah,
sad there because before there was the pre-COVID and then after COVID. And pre-COVID, I mean, awareness was at the top, and you had these protests with thousands of people. I think 500,000 people in Montreal, 5,000 people in Sherbrooke. Then COVID hit. And then after, I mean, like the whole thing died
it kind
because,
of separated people. We were a force, and then
yeah.
suddenly maybe that was a good move for them.
Well, I mean, the idea was that at some point with COVID, what became the priority was the economy, because that's what COVID was disrupting, And it was funny because people were talking about how beautiful it was outside. There were no more cars, people were at home and enjoying nature and realizing that the sky
And
was
ordering
cleaner.
online,
Well, that was the other thing. But I
thousand
mean,
things because they were bored
yeah.
because they couldn't
And
go anywhere with
everyone was
anything.
like, wow, finally I can enjoy, and it's nice to be outside in nature, and I take nature walks and so on. And as soon as things hit after, and people are saying, well, the economy suffered and so on, it's kind of like, it's a really weird feeling, but
It was.
yeah.
It
Anyway,
was.
hey, it's
So
8 o'clock.
yeah, well, we got a few seconds, but
I
that's
don't know if
it.
Jonathan had other
So
questions.
we're part of the solution. I
Yeah.
think sometimes we have to make a difficult choice, but if you are thinking about following the path of protecting the environment, your heart is gonna ring a bell every time you have to make a choice more and more. I mean,
Mm,
you're young, but as I
yeah.
grew up, it was more obvious the choices I make, even though it took me
And
a while.
just for myself, and maybe the people that are watching, like, where do we sign up to be a volunteer for the activities?
You don't even need to sign up. We made it simple. You just show up at the Stationnement de la Grenouillère. And yeah, we're on social media, so you can follow
Okay,
Action Saint-François on Facebook. And I'm
okay,
about to launch all kind of activities, and you can come pick up the trash and laugh with us.
perfect.
Do,
Yeah.
do people have to they have to become members of the of Facebook, or they just go and everything's there?
No, they can follow Action Saint-François to see the activities if they want the notification. But they're not forced to be a member or anything.
Okay.
That's what's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a
You want to
website
follow
too.
us because then you can see when an activity comes up if you really want to come.
It would be
Yeah, I
great.
want to come.
Imagine Jonathan's going to be there. When do you
Yeah,
think?
I
I'll
look
come.
forward to
I'll
see
try
you,
to go.
Jonathan. By the
Yeah,
way, I'm always at the activities.
I'll see you there.
You'll have fun. No,
Brian,
seriously,
I'd like to
Jonathan,
see
invite
you
your
too.
friends. Invite your
Yeah, I'll
friends,
try.
and spread the word in class or with your gang. Talk to students. Maybe Marie-Ève, honestly, do you have like kiosks at the Cégep where you can have students know more about Action Saint-François because you can set up a kiosk
That would
anytime.
be great.
That would be
That would
a
be
good
great.
idea to have a kiosk. I already have
Yeah.
a lot of things going
But
on and people
that's the
calling
thing.
us this year to do all kind
Yeah.
of things. But it would be a great idea at the Cégep de Sherbrooke. Maybe I can look
Because if
into
you want,
that.
I can try to, reserve a place for you.
Yeah, we
And
can
I
check that
just,
out.
yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
students want to get involved, they just don't know how. Is that it,
Yeah,
Jonathan? Yeah,
Yeah, and
probably.
also it can look boring at first, but we're always have fun and people bring stuff home, they find stuff.
yeah,
So it's it's a cool activity, I think.
yeah.
And we always in
Thank,
nature. We got beautiful views in the river. You
yeah,
don't see that. We go in spots where you don't really go usually. So we
Yeah,
discover places
yeah.
in the street.
And sometimes
yes.
places that you drive by all the time and never realized how beautiful it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how polluted it is too sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Marie-Ève. That
Hey,
was great.
welcome.
Thank you for the
It was a
crowd who was
pleasure.
there today.
Thank you very
I wish we
much.
could have
It
been
was,
more, but at least I had somebody to share with, and
Yeah,
Brian too, because Brian knows me a little bit, but there's
yeah.
things that he didn't know.
And now I know more about you. Seriously, very touched. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan, for being there. And
thank
yeah,
you. See you
you,
guys.
you're a great
Thank you.
audience.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Marie-Ève.
Bye.
Marie-Ève, I'll write you soon. For the. It's just I'm gonna stop the recording. Oh, there you go.